1920s were a pivotal decade for Florida. Traditionally viewed as a sparsely populated farming state, Florida gradually discarded this image after the Florida East Coast Railway was constructed in 1885 and was later expanded to West Palm Beach in 1894, Miami in 1896, and Key West in 1912. As Florida became increasingly integrated into the broader industrialized American economy, the Everglades were drained in order to create new, dry land that would be attractive for settlement. Because of its favorable climate, Florida gradually became an attractive place to move to. Plus, Americans in the 1920s began to enjoy economic benefits that were unheard of in prior decades. With new resources at their disposal, Americans had the ability to travel and invest in promising markets like Florida. Prohibition also made Florida a prominent alcohol smuggling hub, as illegal alcoholic products were being imported into Florida from the Bahamas and Cuba and filling up bank coffers. Land in Florida looked like an attractive vehicle for investment, which grew even more tantalizing as credit became easier to obtain. Investors nationwide drooled at the prospect of cashing into a housing market that was on the come up. Like all speculative manias, the Florida land boom of the 1920s brought in all sorts of people who did not have the slightest clue about real estate. From 1924 to 1926, it was a party. The rising property values mesmerized investors, but many of these same investors ignored the rapid construction of rickety homes and stores that proved to be unsustainable. Economic realities quickly began setting in. People realized that many of the housing projects they were investing in turned out to be total duds, and in turn, housing prices started plummeting. To add insult to injury, a series of hurricanes from 1926 to 1928 devastated local housing markets and forced many developers into bankruptcy. The Wall Street crash of 1929 and the appearance of the Mediterranean fruit fly, a development that hurt tourist and citrus industries, that same year dealt decisive blows to Florida's economy, thereby making it less attractive for outside investors. It took a few decades for Florida to get fully back on its feet. All told, Florida's land boom of the 1920s was its first real estate bubble. Regardless of the economic hiccups that Florida faced during the 1920s housing boom, the state's profile was forever changed. This new influx of people and capital helped transition it from an agricultural economy to a modernized state during this decade. In time, the Sunshine State became one of America's premier economic hubs. Currently, we're seeing another mass migration of people into Florida. However, there are different factors spurring the current wave of migration to places like Florida, which generally range from lower taxes to lighter COVID-19 restrictions. Yet again, lots of people are getting into Florida real estate. And we should expect similar mistakes to be made due to the mass hysteria guiding these people's actions. At this point, I don't recommend that people invest in many of Florida's markets. These markets have become very cyclical in nature. The best example would be Miami. The land value is high in cyclical markets. These markets experience big shifts in price that reach highs and lows. In effect, they are a roller coaster ride. Personally, I don't like that as a conservative investor. I prefer reliable cash flows. That's why you should buy properties with cheaper land so that you're basically operating as a commodities investor. At the Empowered Investor Inner Circle, you'll get to interact with experienced investors and advisors who will show you how to improve your investment strategies. These guys and gals have been there and done it, and they're ready to help you not fall into common real estate traps and show you how to generate greater cash flows. Here's the next level information you can expect to learn at the Empowered Investor Inner Circle. Why real estate is a bargain in some housing markets and a ripoff in others. How to build wealth in the inflationary times that are before us. The ideal types of investments for post-pandemic America. Access to my current investing strategy to find exclusive deals. Get advice from my team of investment counselors to discover the best real estate investments. Joining the Empowered Investor Inner Circle is one of those opportunities that you should not pass up. Your life will improve if you apply what we're teaching and run with it. Don't skip out on this opportunity. Now is the time to act. In the past, how many times have you passed up on golden opportunities because you were too indecisive? Here's your chance to dig deep and make a life-changing decision. Maximize your return on life by signing up for the Empowered Investor Inner Circle today.